Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the podcast, Power Breaking Podcast. I'm here today with Larry Fields, Mike Thomas. How you guys doing today? Everything good?
Good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Morning.
Happy Friday. Us, Power Baby. Welcome to the show. We're gonna have a great show. We got Mike Thomas, one of the top breakers in the world. Really great martial artist too, as well. Really, one of my favorites actually. And Team Avalanche, one of my favorite teams. So thanks for joining us today. We're gonna be talking about breaking, a sport that we all love right now, and it's been great, right? So let's get right into it. So Mike, man, you've been breaking for a long time, right? You've been breaking for a long time. When did you start martial arts to
Yes.
begin with?
Thanks. First of all, thanks for having me. I really appreciate
Yes,
that to
yes,
talk with
sir.
you guys. I started breaking pretty much within a year of starting the martial arts. Back in it was 1993 for me. 13 years old. We did a lot of local competitions, and they offered breaking along with the forms and the fighting. So it was something that I was drawn to very early on.
Yeah, nice. So you started competing from early on, and would you compete? I seen you do forms as well in tournaments. So have you done everything? Have you done forms, fighting, breaking, everything?
I have. Within since 2015, when I ran into the USBA, focused primarily on the breaking.
Yeah,
But I also train the students to, if you're going to break, you got to do it all. You can't just be one dimensional. It's going to enhance everything.
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
yeah. That's something that Larry talks about a lot. Like when I first was breaking, like, and Larry, was starting to teach me and stuff. He was like, it's martial arts. It goes into everything you do. It goes into your fighting, into your forms, and it's true. Like now, breaking is starting to get me to want to compete. And I mean, I was supposed to compete in New York in fighting. I just didn't have the time because I had a flight that I had to leave. But yeah, but it's helped me with forms and it's helped me with fighting. So I think it helps me become a complete martial artist because really, if you think about it, guys, like, to break, you have to have good technique and power, right? So, right, so that you carry that on to anything, you're going to be a good martial artist overall. So that's one aspect that I love about it, right there. So yeah, man. Hey, so Larry, I know you've been around longer than I have too. So maybe you could give us some highlights that you remember of Mike in his career that you remember from seeing him competing
Well, I
out
remember
there.
the first time that I saw him break, I was like, man, that team is on fire. They are so close. And, I was really impressed with
Yeah.
Ken and the team. And Mike, man, for a guy your size, to have that much power, I was like, yeah, these guys are an up and coming team when I first saw you guys. I think it was at the US Open is where I first saw y'all. And, y'all had a good team around y'all. You had good techniques, good speed, good power. I was just like really impressed that first couple of years, and I can tell you guys are really tight. What helps you guys stay, so unified together?
Well, I guess just kind of the ability to support each other. 2015, I went to a Pro Series event with Grandmaster Bergamo, and I met everybody. The following about 2 months ago, I went to my first Neo, so that was the Northeast Open that just happened
Yeah,
recently,
yeah,
and that's where I ran into Ken and competed with everybody for the first time. About a year later, Ken had mentioned a world record attempt he was going to attempt to do. Leif Becker had originally set it, for the most boards broken in 1 minute, and that was going to take a lot of work to get set up. So I offered, my assistance to Ken. We didn't really know each other too well. That was one of the first times we got to spend a couple hours together, just out in the heat, getting all set up, and it was a really good experience. Just to know that if you support somebody else, they're always going to be right there for you as well. None
yeah.
of us really would have gotten to where we were without the inspiration and support of each other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, and you guys have a tremendous relationship. Like you guys, you could see the chemistry with the team, and especially with Ken. You guys look like your brothers right now as well. And he dedicated a world a one break. I think was it last year or the year before where you couldn't compete due to the injury, right? And he dedicated he had Mike Thomas written on the concrete as
Yeah,
well. So yeah, tell us about that, the details, because I remember seeing it, but I don't know really the full story on it. If you want to share it, I don't know if it's something personal. Yeah.
about it too much. I mean, people, close knew what happened. I ended up dropping in a seizure, and
Wow.
they couldn't get it under control. They put me out for 11 days, and every time they would try to back the sedation off, I would start to seize again. So it was a lengthy process. There was a lot of blood clots involved from the IV lines. It was about a 21-day total hospital stay. And But I was able to, kind of once they got me awake and the seizures to stop, I was able to start moving forward, climb myself out of bed, and pretty much right back in the uniform as quick as I could.
Wow. Wow, man. Wow. That's intense right there, man. For real. Yeah, no, that's great. And you've come back super strong, back, and that's great, man. What a great story. What a great story that's been. And I know, Larry, you had your own issues before with COVID too, the struggles you had with. So it's like it's great to see a comeback story like that. So that's awesome. Hey, now one question I wanted to ask you that kind of like I've been thinking about myself, and now I want to know for everybody, even maybe for you, Larry. Like, this is a great question just for all of us. I think like I had that moment when breaking where I'm like, okay, I really want to do this. Like, I want to be good at this. You know what I mean? It was fun, and then my aha moment was when I was in Massachusetts at Kent's school, right, for the ISK qualifier, and and I got second place, and I beat some people, and I was like, okay, maybe I could be good at this. And then that's really what that was my aha moment where I was like, okay, I want to try to be a champion in this. Did you have that moment ever? Like, do you remember if you had that moment where you're like, okay, I want to be a good breaker. This is what I want to do. I want to be a champion. I guess it'll be good stories that I want to hear from both of you, if you guys remember it.
Well, first of all, coming back from something out of the hospital, it takes a winner to come from behind.
Yes.
And no, I know beyond it, I shadow of a doubt that you're a winner when you can come back from something like that and be competitive. That's a big feather in your hat. But I was blessed because I was doing fighting, I was doing forms, I was doing breaking, self defense. I'd go to these tournaments and I was on a national team. Dave Ryan out of Liberal, Kansas. I was on his national team. He put me on that national team, and we were going all over the place and competing and breaking and doing all kinds of stuff. And he said, I guess this was my aha moment. He called me and he said, Larry, get tickets to Orlando, Florida. We are going to compete at a tournament and you are only breaking. And I was like, what? And he said, then your daughter, which my daughter was on the team too, because she's a great fighter, and did forms, did self defense. She and I had an awesome self defense routine. And he said, and Samantha is just fighting. And I'm like, what? I'm not fighting? And I was like appalled. I was like, what? He goes, listen to me. You're only competing in breaking and she's only competing in fighting. Get your plane tickets. And I say, yes, sir. Okay. So we go and we had a big meeting and he goes, everybody is here to win a world title. And I was like, oh, so he thinks I'm best at breaking. That was my aha moment because I was like, oh, I thought I was good at everything. And that was the first year I won. That was back in '99, and she won a world title in fighting. I mean, she just dominated. And she back then when she was coming up, she would just fight mostly boys because back then they didn't have separation of girls and boys. They all fought together, and she just went in and she just destroyed all the other girls in her division. And it was like, Dad, I'm just fighting girls. And I'm like, yeah, it's just girls. They're just girls division. She goes, cool. So I think his goal was he wanted us to come back. And I believe we came back with like 65 world
Wow.
titles out of like, there was only like 45 of us on the team, 50 of us on the team. So it was one of those deals where you go, oh, okay, I'm really good at this. So,
Yes.
you
Yeah.
know,
That's
when
cool.
competitions before, they would the team would make fun of me because they'd all have to come and help me set up, and they were like, "We got to go help Larry set up again. Here we go." So it was that was my moment in my life where I realized, oh, I'm really good at this.
Yeah, man, that's cool. That's a great story. I love stories
I
like
had
that.
won world titles in fighting, world titles in breaking, self
Yeah,
defense. I'd won a bunch of different world titles,
yeah,
but it was like Larry is our breaker. And we had about there was a couple other guys that tried to break too, and they did okay, but they were better at something else like forms and back then bow katas were the thing, and everybody was doing bow katas, so that's kind
yeah.
of our team, and that's where I want to get back to. I want to build a team that goes in and we just dominate everything.
Yeah, man, and it's funny you said about having the setup, and now it's like Mike said in New York, you got a notch on your belt, right? When you helps Larry set up in his breaking, it's true. I felt like, yeah, I'm holding for Larry, so that's cool. Yeah, Mike. So how about you, man? You see, I love these type of stories. This is great
That
insight. Yeah,
no, it's definitely an honor and a privilege to be able to help and support somebody like Master Fields, and the ability for my students just last weekend to be able to have the same opportunity and the same spark.
yeah,
I can tell immediately it was going to last a lifetime and really set the stage. It's a small area up here. I was
mhm,
blessed with my instructor, Master Charles Edwards. My first introduction to some big time martial arts was the U.S. Open on ESPN,
yeah,
20 plus years ago. Where if bowling happened to be done in time, you got to see the show. Where
yeah, yeah, yeah,
mostly kata, it was mostly sparring, but you saw 5-10 seconds of breaking, in a highlight show. I guess the moment for me really was when I saw Master Clinton Murphy come across the stage, and he lived in about 20 minutes away from where I lived in New Milford, Connecticut. And when I saw that, I realized, hey, if he
wow,
can, why not me? It's
yes,
so it's something that I do try to let him know, and and all the people that I've kind of looked up to over the years, the ability to meet all your idols, all the people you've looked up to, these athletes.
yeah, man.
That it really you sort of just need that spark. That if he's going to go out and do it, why not me?
Yeah, man, that's awesome. So yeah, and it's funny because now this year they had a whole show. Now breaking is a big thing on ESPN. I think that's what they show a lot, most of right now. And then there's forms and there's some fighting. So yeah, I think it's a very spectator friendly you know division. In the martial arts, I love all the sport karate events for sure. But with breaking, one of the things I like about it is that when you're doing forms and you're fighting, you're being judged, right? There's a judge there. It's human. There's humans element to it. But really, with breaking, it's like it's you against the materials, and like that's it. It's either you break it or you don't. So it's a true test for me, 100% true test of power and technique. So I just love it. But man, that's a great moment for you. So you saw it on TV and you're like, yeah, I want to be like that. That's incredible. That's good. So that's very. And now you're inspiring people to break as well too. So that's cool. Hey, so now out of all the breaking divisions, which is your favorite? Because I know you're pretty versatile. You do it all, right? You pretty
I
much
do.
do it all. Is there one that you like the most, or do you just like it all? I pretty much like it all right now. I'm in love with all of them. Like I don't have a specific one, but yeah, I don't
It,
know if you have a favorite.
it's tough not to like it all.
Yeah,
Years ago, there was a lot of uh, it was a lot of creative when you went to local tournaments. It was a lot of creative
yeah,
routine.
yeah,
So that's kind of where I got started in. I didn't really start power breaking technically until I ran into the guys with the USBA, and realized those type of events. Concrete breaking I hadn't gotten into when I was younger. There was no real
yeah,
outlet for it
yeah,
in this area anyway. In training and stuff like that, testing and things, but not on a competition level.
yeah.
So basically, to in order to get into the power breaking, that's where I found it. But I guess to answer the question, I love creative. It's where I'm most versatile in some of my ideas and things like that. I love concrete power elbow.
Yeah,
Um, I love wood hand.
yeah,
Um, there's the new kicking divisions that are coming out with the
yeah,
concrete and the wood, and back and
yeah.
forth, that stuff. That's just going to add a whole nother element to it as well, and bring in some talent from all over the place.
Yeah, man, those are all great divisions. Yeah, and even three directional. I love how, like you said, back then it was creative, right? That's it. And like the NBL had it for years too, world championships, and like it's been mostly creative. And then, but I love how then they turned it into divisions like that, which I think that was a genius idea. Whoever thought of that was incredible, because it's like it's really cool. And like some people that even point fighters that I know in my sport karate background, they get a little confused. They don't even know all the divisions they could compete in. And I'm like, yeah, you could go and compete in like 7 or 8 divisions if you want. They actually have literally a bunch of them that you could. There's no space, foot stomp. There's like so many double hammer. There's so many divisions out there. So it's really I really love it. My favorite, I would say, it's crazy. It's crazy that I made it on stage for the power arm, right? And that was the one that I was most scared of, because the concrete with your arm, and just and that's the one I made it. And so it's kind of cool that but it's good. Like, I love the challenge, right? The hardest path there is the one that I made. So I feel like really proud about that one. But yeah, I like creative. You could you let your creativity out, and creative for me, I guess, is one of my favorite ones that I want to become really good at. I guess that's the one that I want to be really good at next, because you get a chance to like show who you are, right? That's with
Yeah.
creative, yourself comes out from there as well. So I really love that. And man, the power hand wood, I really like that one. I think that should be like, man, I wish that could be one that's like a world title right there, because I think that that's a real good one. So, but I know that they're adding always stuff in there, and there's so many divisions that they can have for the ISK for world titles as well. But I just love all of them, and I love to get better in every single thing. So it's just amazing. Now, this is one thing that I love to talk about now in my breaking journey is I'm always getting tips from people, so I could share the tips as well, to get, because there's people, point fighters and other people in the sport karate world, that are coming to me that they're interested in breaking, and they just, I guess there needs to be more education on this. So like I'm not trying to advocate for more seminars and stuff like that. And also here, I don't know if there's any little tips that one little tip that you could think of to give out there to somebody that's maybe wanting to get started into breaking. If they wanted to get started into breaking, what would be, I guess, the first thing that they should do to start if they want to start breaking? If they don't have, let's say, breaking in their school, you know what I mean? If there's no breaking at all in their school, and they're looking at the U.S. Open, seeing you break on ESPN, and they want to get started, what tip would you or advice would you give them for that? I guess if they want to get started. Hey, Larry, you're back. Here we go.
Sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
I guess for me, and just a quick thing to promote Master Velez's new book that just came out, The Art.
Oh yeah, yeah. Let me see the book. Let me see Master Velez.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Let us know where
so,
we can get it from and everything for sure. Yeah.
yeah, on Amazon. And a
Nice.
small part in there. He asked my opinion on a couple things. Basically, when you sacrifice your own knowledge, yourself for somebody else, especially early on, that really takes shape. Motivating and teaching somebody else is always going to help you focus on your own goals, even though you don't think it's possible.
Yeah.
To bring up somebody who has doubt in their mind, and just give them that little bit of encouragement, that yeah, you can do it. You just got to put in your time. You got to put in your work. Sometimes that's all you really need to hear in order to you know,
Yes.
really, really push yourself, and raise the bar, for yourself.
Yeah, man. That's true. That's a good tip right there for sure. Yeah. Hey, Larry. Yeah, we're talking about
Yeah.
any little tips. You heard right? Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, what I see, I do a lot of breaking seminars, and what I see is I go into dojos that they say they don't do breaking, but they do. They just don't realize it, because anytime you're practicing a same technique over and over and over again, you're practicing for breaking. You know, and they don't realize that, even just doing push-ups, you're working on a palm strike, you know, and then
Yeah.
and they don't realize it's just a different angle, you know. A lot of people, they don't realize how easy it is to get involved in breaking. Everybody wants to hit something and hit it hard, you know. As little kids, we're taught not to break stuff. Don't tear it up. Don't tear it up. I mean, my mom, she used to tell everybody, Larry can tear an anvil up with a rubber mallet. And I just want to prove my mom right, you know. But the breaking part of it is they practice the techniques. It's muscle memory for
Mhm.
when we are in a real fight situation. We have that muscle memory and we just explode, and that explosion is where the breaking comes in. The old masters would teach kata, teach fighting. You teach kata to get muscle memory, you teach sparring to get the timing, and you teach the breaking for that one hit, that one shot that puts that guy down to where you can walk away and you're not hurt, and they're in either in a position where they can't hit anybody again, or they're done. I was actually teaching this in class yesterday. I was telling them, you train for that one strike, that one hit, and they make the mistake, and I've had this happen to me when I've had altercations. A guy went to hit me, and I punched him in the bicep so hard that it frogged his bicep up, and
Oh man, you got cut off.
when the
Oh,
police
yeah.
when the police came, he goes, "Oh, I went to punch him, and he hit me in my arm, and my arm is numb, and there's a big old, and it was a big huge bruise by then." And he was like, "Oh, okay, we know who's going to jail now." So,
He
you know,
basically admitted he went to punch at you, right?
right. Well, I mean, we train for that, for when that person does go to hit you, and the
Yeah.
break makes it to where we know how much power we need to use to get something done. So that's kind of where I go with the breaking.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. No, yeah, I think that for me, the part that I love about this whole thing at my progress is the conditioning of my whole body. Like I'm conditioning everything. My arms, my legs, my shins, my everything, like my forearms, and I just love how it's all evolving. It's like I'm becoming better, like internally, and like today, it was hard to put on this watch, and my hand doesn't hurt. I guess from the conditioning, I guess my hands are getting bigger. I don't know, but I mean, I can't. It's hard to take this thing off, and put it back on. Like it's crazy. So I love that I love how you get the micro fractures or whatever that that's what they told me. And then when it comes heals, it comes back stronger, and then you're able to break more. So that I love how like with experience and time, I'm gonna just be a better breaker and be able to break more. So I love that aspect of the conditioning part of the breaking world. Hey, before we keep going, I want to talk about. I forgot about this. Let's talk about a few events coming up, and then we'll continue. And then, Mike, I know you got you're on time. Are you good on time? Up to what
No,
time are you good? So
you
you're
know
good.
this.
Okay, okay.
I'm living in the moment right now. We're good.
Okay, okay, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, perfect, cool. All right, so look, September 20th, an all woman Power Zone Breaking Championships. No Ninja Warrior course on this one. All right, so 100% real super awesome brakes, concrete foot, power hand wood, and power arm wood. All women. It's free registration, free materials, and I'm gonna give $500 to a winner. And if you're out there, any women out there that want to compete, I'm looking for 5. I think I got 3 right now already, so I need 2 more in the challenge. And if you need help getting down here, contact me as well. I may even be able to help you come down because it's really cheap right now to be in Miami too. So that's the next Power Zone event that I'm doing. So spread the word out. If you guys are out there, any breakers, any women martial artists that want to break and make some money. And it's sponsored by Female Fighters Matter too as well. Maggie Messina, she helps a lot of sport karate already events and athletes, and she gives back. And her mission is just to bring equality to all women in the sport, and to build the women. She's built up a lot of the sport karate events. Like now, there's the women fighters. There's almost as much men as there was, uh, you know, as there was now because of her. She's giving money to events. She's sponsoring events. So this is the first time she goes into a breaking event. So this for me is a big thing, and I want to make sure that we highlight and showcase the best women and to show her, that there's going to be a lot of women breakers coming too as well. And so hopefully we can get a good support of women for this one, and it could be probably the first of many. All right, so that's one event. Then we have coming up in Las Vegas, right? Las Vegas Breaking Championships, USBA, WBA, is ISKA. It's going to be a great event right there, point fighter approved, and that's a real good one right here in Las Vegas. And so make sure you guys start making plans for that. I believe you could get all the information already, register everything in usbawba.org. All right. And then, October 4th in a few weeks is Elite Breaking Tournament. Larry, you run that tournament. Gary Lee is the host of the event, and but you run it. So 3 great events for anybody that wants to go and break out there as well. And also one more, I don't have the flyer for it, but if you're in Florida, September 6th, Nick Zambri, I'm going to be there. He's going to do a breaking seminar and like workshop. I've been to one before. That's where I learned how to break the bat with the gorilla arm and break a coconut. So he in one day I learned all that. So you get a lot of knowledge there. So don't miss out for those. So yeah, those are the events. I know that Larry, you're running 2 of them. I mean, you're helping with both Vegas and in Texas, right? So you're gonna be at both of those.
We have so many tournaments, and it makes it hard because I want to go to the one in the 20th of September, but I have a tournament here in Abilene, September the 20th. And September 6th, we have a tournament. It's just like we got to get better on our dates. We got to get better coinciding on our dates so that we can go to more stuff.
Yeah.
I was blessed this year.
Oh.
I was blessed this year to be able to go to North Carolina, Miami, New York, and then New York was really good for me. I was able to do breaking, fighting, and forms, and that's one of the few tournaments that I've actually been able to do all 3. Mike, didn't you? Well, you were over there when I was fighting, weren't you?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I was.
Those guys in New York, they fight a little different than we do here in Texas. I had some trouble getting over the rules.
Yeah.
Mike had to help me.
But you held your own real good out there. Absolutely.
Yeah, man, for sure. No, yeah, and there's a lot of breaking events coming out, more breaking, more breakers. So I love that the sport is growing like that as well. So, and if you want to get involved, there's some great organizations out there too. The USBA, WBA. I know they're Paul Hickey and CM Brooks are doing world record breaks with the IBF, and then down here in Florida with Nick Zambri and Mike Reeves, and you out there in Texas. And now I see that it's going out to the West Coast out there in Las Vegas. So I want to see, and I've seen Adam go out to Europe a bunch of times as well. So, I really love how breaking is really growing and spreading, and just the sports. Just I love it. I love it. And I think it's just getting started as well. I think that the sport in 5 or 6 years, it's gonna be even more, especially with like what I'm hearing with stuff with like with stuff, maybe more events coming out on ESPN next year too. So right, with the breaking, so and now everything, not just breaking, all like there's a tournament series I think that's gonna come out next year. That'll be on ESPN, so that'll be huge right there, right? So the sport I think is on the way really up, and I'm really excited about it. Now here's a thing too. One of the cool, I guess the next topic that I kind of want to talk about is, me and Mike were talking about favorite divisions earlier when you were off, Larry. What were some of the divisions that he liked the most? And what would be if you had a chance, because they're always, I'm pretty sure they're always brainstorming. Do you guys have any ideas or maybe breaks that you guys used to be available in the past that you'll like to see more of now? You know what I'm saying? Like some different unique breaks. Like sometimes I've seen somebody, I think I saw with the USBA one time in a Hall of Fame event where they jumped or something and they landed and they broke something or something. I don't know. Some cool, different, unique divisions. So I don't know. I like to hear some of this stuff. So I don't know who wants to start off, Larry or Mike, if you have any ideas on this.
Go ahead. What's your favorite?
Well, for something I'd love to really kind of see come back, and I think you were mentioning maybe some of the double hand or elbow events for the USBA. Those are always kind of fun. It's not just one arm; it's
Yeah.
both elbows. What I really back in the day, and I remember Chip Townsend, Master Chip Townsend, Grandmaster Chip Townsend, the combat wood event where you're just surrounded by people with boards and any technique goes, and it's
Oh, wow. Yeah.
timed or I mean, and so it kind of bridges the gap between one hit versus multiple hits and multiple targets, multiple opponents. You know, a lot of times people, like to point out that you're hitting a stationary target. Well, yes, that may be the case, but that's not always the case. In a real life situation, it's going to be moving. Things are
Yes.
good. Be constantly evolving. So, and we train for that. We train to have an injury and continue fighting, to continue breaking things. Most people would you break your arm, you're done for the day. Well, breakers are a little different breed. They
Yeah.
they have the mental fortitude, the conditioning to go a few more rounds to while they're hurt. But the multiple strikes,
I
I think,
like that. Yeah.
would
I
be
like
something
that. Yeah.
very beneficial.
Yeah, man. Wow, man. Yes, I like that. I actually did that in one power zone, but I noticed, one of the things that's hard about that is you have to have a lot of people for it, right? But in the bigger events, you could do that, like in a tournament like the US Open. I think that could be something that could be possible. And events up there with the camaraderie that there is too, I think that's cool. I like that division for sure. I like it. And like what you said, it's almost like it almost becomes like it looks like a self-defense scene too, right? We're talking about the speed
Yeah,
breaking,
yeah.
Larry.
That
Yeah,
that that combat wood was like one of my favorite. And when Chip won it that year, um, I wanted to win. I wanted to win that, and he and I were going head to head on that because we were both heavyweights. And then the next year, one of my students, a guy walked in and goes, "Hey, I want to win a world title," and I was like, "Okay, well let's work on that." And he said, "What can I do?" And at that point, he started training. So it was about, I don't know, 7 or 8 months before the U.S. Open. His name was Eric James. Everybody called him Winky. He's a big, huge, like 6'4" African American gentleman, great guy. So he and I started practicing, and we did the exact same routine. So at the U.S. Open, we tied. So we had to go again, and he ended up beating me by one board. But when you get bit by your student, it's a good and a bad thing, because I always try to train my guys to beat me. I want them to beat me, because then it's going to push me harder to do better and work harder than they're working. And if they're working right beside me, that makes me push harder. So that combat wood is probably one of the, and they're talking about bringing some stuff back.
yeah,
Uh, I actually was talking to some of the guys about this. They're wanting to do like a three-directional wood with foot. They're trying to work the logistics out for that. There's some other ideas that are floating around where you have to do a high kick to the right, a high kick to the left, and then a high kick straight down, or a straight front.
ooh,
So
yeah,
they're trying to bring in some different elements for breaking. Bring in some different competitors, some competitors that are going to be a little more high flying. When people start talking about high flying, I automatically think of Mitt Lennox. He was probably one of the best creative breakers ever. And you talk about Chip Townsend, and you talk about myself, and you talk about the Humphreys. But to be honest, Mitt Lennox was probably one of the best creative breakers. And then you can't mention Mitt without mentioning Master Grandmaster Elton Trowler. He
yeah,
was so creative and so powerful. He had so many powerful techniques that he could just explode, and to be an older gentleman, and when you think about Master Bergamo, some of his techniques, are off the chain when it comes to being creative. But, Mitt Lennox, he was a high flyer. He could just jump straight up in the air, and just break stuff. And I think that's the direction they're trying to go, because they're
yeah,
wanting to more of the high flying
yeah,
kicks.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's a good idea, actually. Yeah, and maybe that'll cross over some of those sport karate people that can do those 540s, right? And all those flip kicks that they do. That'll be actually be a cool aspect to it all. But man, so basically like three directional kicking, right? Because left, right, and down the middle, kind of like the three directional. That
Or,
actually,
or straight in front of you, or straight in front of you.
yeah, man, that sounds really good, right? I like that division a lot. Yeah, for sure. I really like that and the speed one. That for sure is two amazing ones. Hey,
I love
one last.
the speed concrete, and when they were doing the speed concrete, I was that was built for me. And back in the day, Chris Lee and myself, we would just brainstorm about what divisions and what things we could do and bring in and make something better, and make it more fun. Because I mean, the US Open is draining as far as physically, mentally, spiritually, just draining. And to be
Yeah,
able to go in there and let all that out, it's just amazing.
yeah, no, it is. It is. Hey, and talking about being drained and getting energy. I see a Bang energy drink in front of me
Yeah.
right there.
Hey,
Bang, bang. So hey, so that brings up a good question now for this, because yeah, like I just thought about this one right now, and it's a great one, I think. How do you pump? Everybody pumps himself up differently, right? And I love that aspect of this breaking, because you get to see the personalities and the characters of people. And some people take long to break, some people are just fast, some people meditate a little bit first, they breathe in and out with the chi. I get crazy with it, and then you get so intense, Larry, with but what do you guys do to pump yourselves up for the break, like mentally and I guess spiritually, and just your mentality uh, when you're looking at that material that you're about to break?
Well,
So I
like
guess go ahead. Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
quick, some of the when you fuse purpose and passion, anything is possible. Like you mentioned before, Master Goodrich, dedicating a break to somebody that can't be there, or and that's happened multiple times throughout his seven
Yeah,
times. A lot of times when he had a purpose, when he was doing it for a specific reason, you there is no give. You're gonna put your body through whatever you have to in order to do that. And like you said, some people kind of meditate, key up, things like that. Other people just kind of very practical self defense strike. They have
yeah,
their breaks that way.
yeah,
But in my opinion, giving a reason for why you're there, why you spent a half a year of your hard earned money and training every day in order to be there to do this, to bang yourself up and potentially put yourself in a
yeah.
situation where you can be injured. If you have a greater purpose in order that you're doing it for,
Yes.
you really there's nothing that's going to stop you.
I love that. Yeah, I love that. I love that for sure. Yeah,
I can't agree more. I use pure rage. When I'm pacing back and forth, when I'm going to do a power break, I'm have pure rage in my heart. My father left when I was 5 years old, and that's part of the reason why I got involved in martial arts, is because of that rage. And I take that rage and I use it. Somebody cuts you off in traffic. Somebody is disrespectful to you. Physically you probably could whoop them and make them pay for it, but you can't do it if you don't want to go to jail or worse. You never know, especially here in Texas, who's packing a gun or not. So to be able to let that rage out with one strike or two strikes or even three when we're doing three directional wood, it's a plus. It's a bonus. It's almost like therapy, because when you can let that all out and
yeah,
use it in a good constructive way, it makes life better. My original instructor, that's what he taught me. He realized that I had a lot of rage and I needed to be able to control it in a constructive way. I played high school football, I played college football, I ran track. When everybody else was tired and ready to go in, Larry would dip into that rage and use it to work out harder, to be better. And that's what people don't realize. It's okay. God tells us, be angry but sin not. Well, how do you do that? Well, if you train hard, you have that purpose, like you were talking about, Mike. You use that, and then you become a better martial artist. I know Alex is training his tail off. He's trying to
yeah,
catch up to the rest of us that are in his
yeah.
mind or ahead of him. He doesn't realize he's right there with us. And I
I'm
hear
getting there. I'm
and
getting there.
You are. I hear about guys training, and it makes me want to train even harder. You know,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that
man.
I use it when I hit. Now, creative, whole nother ball game. When I
Having
start
fun.
breaking
Yeah,
in creative, it's pure fun, and
yeah.
I want to draw in everybody who's watching me break to the fun that it is to break some stuff. You know, as like I was saying earlier, when we were kids, we were taught not to break anything. Don't tear it up. Don't tear it up. You know, and when we break, we tear some stuff up, and everybody claps and are helping us clean it up afterwards. So it's a great.
Bro, it's true, man. Now that you're saying that, I kind of like changed the way, like, it's true. Like when I'm doing breaking creative, for me, it's a chance to express my creativeness and also send a positive message because I like to talk as well, and just and it just and it's fun, right? It's fun and entertaining, and I get to bring my old wrestling background that I have, and when I used to do that, so I get a chance to jump off the ladder and break a door or whatever if I want, So like for me, that like brings out that side of me, that of who I am, that I've always been. And I used to paint my face when I would fight too. So it's like to do it in breaking now, it's just amazing. And then like you said, I switch it up where I've been like, I've had fun breaks, and then when it's time for the concrete, yeah, you think about, I think about those traumas that I've had, and I do use that as well for that. You know what I'm saying? So I guess depends how I'm feeling that day too, because sometimes I just want to just go out and it's all fun, but there are times where I'm having those a bad day or a bad week or whatever, and I'm like, let me take it out on this thing right here and break it off. And it's like, and like I've said this, I say this, I think in almost every show, and I'll continue. It's been great for my mental health. I do suffer from depression. And like, I think this year I've been depressed once or twice the whole year, where I've been, it's been something where I would get depressed 5 or 6 times a year. So, and it just comes out of nowhere, it's just something that happens to me. And the breaking has, not cured me 100%, but it's healing me a lot, and a lot of it has to do with like putting that into it, So I just love it, man. I can't wait to break. When we're done, look, I got concrete right here. I got a stack of concrete here in my office. I just got Ozzy to buy me like 30 of them from Lowe's, because there's only one Lowe's that have those here in Miami. I could only get that kind of concrete here in Miami, and it's by his house in Hialeah. So he just brought it for me. I'm about to break after we're done here, and I just love it, man. I'm in love with the breaking.
You the other thing is the camaraderie.
Yeah,
You were a fighter, I was a fighter, and I had some friends that were pretty close to me that we fought. Some most of the time they're in a different division, but the camaraderie that breakers have, you know, Tom, the Mike Thomas Joss crew is up there breaking, and we're
yeah,
up there helping you clean up. We're up there helping you carrying stuff up. It's We are competing against each other, but the coolest thing is we're not just competing against each other. We're competing against the materials, and when you compete
yes,
against the materials, it gives you like, okay, you know, we're going to do this. There was a big rivalry between Chip Townsend and myself for many, many, many years.
yeah,
And I was a guy that would help anybody, and I would jump up on stage and help them. It didn't matter, it doesn't matter who your rival is. It matters,
yeah.
what we can do.
I
When
love that.
down there
Yeah,
in Miami and I was breaking, I helped Gator clean up, and he beat me. He beat me in creative. So
yeah,
you know that camaraderie is important. So I know, some night around 2 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. I know, Alex, if you call me, I'm gonna pick the phone up and say, "Hey, dude, what's going on?" And you're gonna say,
yeah,
"Hey, man, I don't
yeah.
feel so good." I said, "Man, dude, what are you talking about? You're one of the best guys in the world. What are you talking about?"
It's true,
It's that
man.
camaraderie that
Yeah.
we have. Doyle, John Doyle out there. John Doyle and I, yeah, man, we would go back and forth. He'd win, I'd win. He'd win, I'd win. But we always had that camaraderie. We'd hug each other's necks and tell each other good job. That I don't see that in other sports like we do here.
Bro, hey, you're right. And even in our own sport of open sport martial arts, you don't see that. I mean, in forms and weapons, it is that camaraderie there, but you could see when somebody wins, when somebody loses, they're pissed. They're not happy. They're not happy that the other person beat them. But here, like, you see it. Like, I've never seen that before in breaking. As soon as somebody beats somebody, they hug each other and the other person looks happy for them. And it doesn't look fake. You know what I'm saying? So I love that camaraderie, like you're saying, and it's true. And that whole family feel and the teams, like you said, that's like another topic right there. I keep saying we're almost done, and I'm like, I think about another one, but man, like there's some great camaraderie and like chemistry with teams, and that's something too maybe that we could see in the future. But I guess there needs to be more money for this, more sponsorship. Is like a team, and like I think that's the ultimate, having a team event, right? Where which like Avalanche, you guys have somebody in every category, and so do you, Larry, right? And there's teams out there, Chip Martial Arts that could do it too. Adam Grogan has a great team too. So like that, there's
Well,
enough teams out there to do Team Canada. I mean, there could be at least 10 or 15 teams if there's something like that with some good amount of prize money out there,
you know,
right? That would be a cool division.
Mike McCoy, he is trying to find a good sponsor.
Yeah,
And for us to take this to the next level, and
yeah,
I feel like we're professional breakers. I feel like that. But until you get paid like a professional,
yeah,
you're
yeah,
not really a professional. So to
yeah,
take this to the next level, we need a major sponsor to step
yeah.
in and go, all right, we're paying for this. This is how much money we're going to spend. And and it can't be like $1,000 or $10,000. It's got to be like something they would sponsor for NFL football or
Yeah.
NHL hockey or NBA basketball. It's got to be a sponsor like that. Somebody that's
Yes.
got some deep pockets, that is into breaking, that understands what we need to go to that next level. We're almost there. We're almost there.
Yes. I think, and you know what? I think that we are there. All right, and we just need they just need to reach out to us really, because if the exposure's there. Look at the U.S. Open. How many people were there? Like you could put your logo on the banner right there, and while they're breaking, that's millions of views for exposure. Point Fighter Live. I just posted the other day. I had 90 million views over a course. I don't know if it was 30 days or 60 days. 90 million views. Those are numbers of a TV network. So, if you get, on my page. So if sponsors come in, I mean, it's a good for them. They're like right now, it's a great opportunity right now for them that they could get some major exposure, because the exposure is already happening already. Now they just need to come in and get that exposure, because it's getting millions and millions of views already on TV and on my page. So like, I think that, yeah, it's a no brainer for
Well,
everybody,
wasn't
for any sponsors out there. Yeah.
Mike? Wasn't your teammate? Didn't he have the highest? The young guy that we broke with. Uh, he won in Miami. But didn't he have some of the highest numbers of views of anybody that you've ever had, Alex?
Yes, Jaden.
Oh
Jaden.
yeah, Jaden. Oh yeah, Jaden. Yeah, Jaden has had a good views. Yeah. No, yeah, Jaden has had good views. Jaden. Yeah. I mean, but not just, it's a bunch. That's the thing. It's not even one person or one team. It's like breaking. If I put breaking, I've had kids gone viral. I've had some kid breakers gone. I've had videos in my own school of my kids do the ninja course or whatever, some break, and it's gone viral. On YouTube. Like I've done beginner breaking at my school with white belts breaking rebreakables with yellow. The yellow breakable was white belts with like 15 million views. You know what I'm saying? So it's like this is something that people like to watch. So if you're out there and you have a company, a corporate, a sponsorship, you're already paying taxes. Just put it into the sport. It's tax deductible. That's what I do with the money I sponsor with. You can write that off instead of paying Uncle Sam. I give it out. So that's one of the reasons why I give back too as well, right? So it's like it's a win-win for everybody in a way. So that's the next thing. If you're any corporate sponsors out there, you know, contact us. We get you that maximum exposure for sure. And I think that that's the next step, and it will happen. I know it's gonna happen for sure. But yeah, man. Hey guys, thanks for joining me today. What a great Friday! It's been a great show, great insight from you, Mike and Larry. It's always good, and we're doing this every week. I think next week we have Drew, right? We have Drew
Drew
Serrano.
Serrano. Yeah, Master
Yeah,
Serrano will be on with
yeah.
us next.
So every week, and then let's see, we're gonna bring on all the great breakers, and not just breakers. We'll bring on all martial artists here on this podcast with myself and Larry. So hey, Mike, thanks again for joining us. All right, it was
Okay.
great to talk to you, and you're one of my favorite breakers. I love how you break. We were talking earlier about like pumping, and I love how you break, because you start off a lot of sometimes on your knees, right? Just there, like you're meditating or just, and then you just get up and you just go boom and you break. So when you get up, that's it. It's time to break. I always tell Ozzy, my cameraman, and me, I'm like, be ready because as soon as he gets up, it's gonna break within seconds to get that break. We've missed like your breaks a few times because of that, thinking that you'll measure, but you just get up and just boom and break. So it was great to have you on. You're one of my favorite breakers, Larry. Always great to have you, and let's have a great weekend. All right, guys.
Yes,
All
sir.
right, yes, sir. Take care. Us power, baby.